I'm Dr. Lexi Cogswell, and I'm here today talking with Dr. Sven Mahner about platinum-resistant ovarian cancer. It's a hot topic this year at ESMO. I know we've got a presidential symposium later tonight. We've got a lot of interesting data tomorrow. I wanted to start just by your thoughts on Keynote B96 that's going to be released tonight. Are you anticipating anything new or exciting coming out in that symposium?
Absolutely. I mean, we're living in very exciting times currently in the treatment of ovarian cancer patients. And it's been like this over the past years, but it gets better and better every year with new data coming out. And this year's ESMO is clearly one of the exceptional conferences where we have several new trial results that we are highly anticipating. And I mean, you started your question with the field of platinum-resistant ovarian cancer. I hope that we will develop the field more and more into a direction that we don't, classify patients regarding platinum resistance or not resistance, because this is something that is uniquely done in ovarian cancer, and no other disease that I'm aware of as a gynecologic oncologist that you classify your patients according to the resistance to specific drugs, but rather, open the field to a more biological and molecular thinking. And the trial results we're going to see at this year's conference clearly will help us.
Absolutely. I think with the ADC trials, coming from an academic background, it's nice to see the mechanistic data play out in the clinical trials, where we're seeing a target that we are specifically putting a toxic payload towards, and we know it's expressed highly on the surface of ovarian cancer cells. Among these cell surface receptors, we've got a few being presented tomorrow, right? Are there any of those that you've been involved with or are really interested or looking forward to?
I mean, personally, I'm involved in several of these ADC trials, partly from the beginning, and others rather in advanced stage clinical trials. But nevertheless, as you said, this is really a new aspect in the treatment of our patients, that we do not only know that there are specific biomarkers that certain ovarian cancer tumor cells have, but that we can use these as target to introduce cytotoxic drugs and have high efficacy with rather a manageable side effect profile. And it's hard to really pick out specific ADCs in this context. So of course there's certain markers, certain receptors like folate receptor that have been around for years or even decades, and several rather unsuccessful rounds had to be undertaken until we finally, with the targeting ADCs, managed to use this receptor that's abundantly expressed in ovarian cancer cells to really help treat the disease. But this is only the beginning, and there's other growth hormone receptors like HER2 or various other receptors that we currently do clinical trials in an early phase or an advanced phase, and so I'm very optimistic that over the next years we're going to have very exciting new data. And I mean, this is not the purpose of what we do to have exciting new data, but to improve the outcome of our patients and ideally cure our patients. And there is still way to go until we can cure all the ovarian cancer patients, but we're making huge steps of progress currently.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned safety earlier. I think that's a really important point to call out. I know we hear a lot in the United States. I'm so comfortable with this drug because I know how to manage the toxicities. I think it's a real challenge with the assets coming to the market. How do you handle that in your practice when you have a new asset and you're handling some different toxicities that maybe you haven't seen before?
Indeed, that's a very important aspect. In my center, we are privileged to be part of many clinical trials, so we get access to drugs that eventually will be licensed and available for everybody, usually years before they are on the market. And so we already have the time to get used to certain side effects. But it's whenever you open new fields and new areas of treatment, you usually also see new side effects that you need to manage. And it's important to ideally work in a setting where you have multiple disciplines working together. Many ADCs have, for example, ocular toxicities that need the expert management also from ophthalmologists. And on the other hand, before that, with immunotherapy, we had very immunotherapy-related new side effects that we had to first be able to detect, and then after we diagnose them, it's usually important to treat them rather sooner than later. But in this context, it's usually very manageable, and especially with the example of immunotherapy, it's always good to have a center where there's, for example, dermato-oncology as well, where the field of immunotherapy has been developed for many more years. And so I always learn from my colleagues in dermato-oncology, and they usually are not very excited about certain side effects that we are quite excited about. And so together, and we do weekly tox boards also for our oncology patients with rather unusual toxicities to find a conclusion how to manage this. And this actually works very well. It's another argument for centralized care in interdisciplinary centers and experts that also conduct clinical trials.
Absolutely. I think that's a takeaway we can get behind in any session. Thank you, Dr. Mahner. Really appreciate it. Or should I say danke from here in Berlin?
Danke, I think we should say, but thank you is globally accepted.
I like it. Well, it was really nice to
Thank
talk
you.
to you today. Thank you.
Likewise.